Let's start with How Afternoon Team. Make a mistake, come again. Recently, I frequently travel to countries in Southeast Asia, Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore, etc. to understand the local car consumption environment, understanding the strategic positioning of Chinese automakers in these markets. There is also the investment layout and the genuine feedback from local users on Chinese brand. Today, I will summarize a little bit, talk about how I feel about Chinese cars entering Southeast Asia. The first positive feeling, and on a global scale, Southeast Asia is actually relatively friendlier to Chinese automakers, more accessible areas. Most countries in Southeast Asia, in fact, it does not have a local brand. Only Malaysia has Paido and Proton. And Proton is actually half of our Chinese brand. There are no barriers to the protection of local enterprises. In fact, it's relatively easy and fair for overseas brands to enter. Relative to the European market occupied by BBA, it is easy to defend and difficult to attack. Poland, in fact, can be said to have opened its arms to welcome Chinese car companies to invest and compete. The Thai government has performed well in this regard, and Southeast Asia, its geographical advantages are also very clear. The world's major shipping lanes or major wealth flows. It is the Indian Ocean route connecting the east and west ends of the Eurasian continent, and Southeast Asia is the choke point of this route. For Chinese automakers, it can not only sell cars to Southeast Asia, it can also be exported from Southeast Asia to some right rudder markets in Australia. This also avoids high tariff barriers in some countries. Another advantage is that Southeast Asia is actually the region with the largest number of overseas Chinese in the world. It has a certain mass base. Chinese automakers can establish an emotional connection with users faster here, including brand recognition. For example, the Chinese population in Singapore actually exceeds 70%. The Chinese population in Malaysia accounts for more than 1/5, and they belong to the local wealthy class. Many Malays actually use Xiaohongshu TikTok for their social and entertainment apps. I took a taxi in Malaysia. The Malay driver, the mobile phones used are all Chinese brands, Abe and Honor, and very representative. Then there are friendly policies. I started with Thailand. In recent years, many governments in Southeast Asia have been actively promoting the transformation and development of electric vehicles, attract new energy companies to invest in local factories. With the blessing of these favorable factors, Chinese automakers are actually on a tier in Thailand. In addition, it is said that Chinese automakers are shaping the foundation of Japanese brands here. And that's true around 2010. Japanese brands such as Toyota and Honda are sold in Thailand, Indonesia, Malaysia. At one point, its market share could reach more than 70%. However, since 2019, Japanese cars are sold in Southeast Asia. In fact, it began to continue to decline. It's down 12% in Thailand. It's down 6% in Indonesia. Malaysia is down 5%. In Singapore, it plummeted by 18%. And Chinese brands from 2022 to the first half of this year. The market share skyrocketed from less than 2% to more than 10%. Another point worth noting is the development of Chinese cars in the Southeast Asia market now. It is very similar to the beginning of the birth of a new species of trans in the Chinese market 7 or 8 years ago. Why is the story repeating itself in Southeast Asia first? Because the Southeast Asia market has a relatively high acceptance of pure electric models in comparison Chinese brands in the Middle East, South America, etc. In fact, it is still mainly selling fuel vehicles. Anyway, next, in Southeast Asia, intelligent electric vehicles represented by BYD, Chery, Great Wall, etc. It is actually a substitute for the previous Japanese-dominated fuel vehicles. I believe this trend is irreversible, according to my visits to Bangkok, Kuala Lumpur, Singapore, and other places. Electric cars from China with some smart electric features are definitely new to the locals. Many people are using a smart big screen in the car for the first time. The first time I experienced an in-car stereo with 16 speakers, not to mention autonomous parking and other driver assistance features. I had never seen them before. I tried to ride the Chinese guy at the EMOS 7 store in Proton in Kuala Lumpur, and he was really excited to tell me about all the features. In fact, these functions had already been popularized in China 2 years earlier. Finally, and I'll tell you a little bit about mine, some negative feelings, that is, Chinese automakers are not in Southeast Asia either, and they drive straight in. Well, there are lots of them, difficulties and problems to face. Southeast Asia is not only the crossroads of the world's traffic, it's also a crossroads of global culture. It integrates various religious cultures such as Islam, Buddhism, and Hinduism. The characteristics of multicultural integration are very obvious. Culture influences consumption. This also results in a diverse and fragmented consumption environment in Southeast Asia, and it's complicated. For example, the people in the northern part of Vietnam, in fact, they like cars. They were influenced by Chinese culture. However, people in the southern region prefer it. What about the people in Malaysia? While liking cheap cars. You see big MPVs everywhere. Indonesians, on the other hand, like the cheap, durable IKEA models that sit somewhere between 6-seaters and SUVs.
ASEAN is not an alliance like the European Union. It's really just an appointment. It's very loose. He doesn't have that unified policy. Then the cultural background of each country is very different. Basically, if you can understand Southeast Asia, you understand the whole world.
Chinese automakers want to take root here. More patience is required. Solve the problem of each individual market, and there's a bottom line. Just don't have too many quality problems and negatives. Persist in not making mistakes for 10 years. During my visit, I hear a lot of people talking about the late 1990s. Chinese motorcycles were once popular in Southeast Asia, but in the end, because of the price war, its quality was damaged. The story of the final failure, when the car company mentioned this, it's more about wanting to take a warning. But sometimes it's easy to get red-eyed in the competition. In fact, it's easy to get carried away. All I care about is selling cars. However, quality and after-sales are ignored. As far as I understand, in Malaysia, a brand was once widely reported by the local media due to a broken shaft. it almost caused a devastating blow. While in Thailand, I interviewed a taxi driver. He drives an Ion. He said it was really easy to drive. The price is not expensive. It has all kinds of functions, but the after-sales service couldn't keep up.
ไม่รู้ไอ้เนี่ยซอฟต์แวร์มันไม่ค่อยดีอ่ะอยากให้มันปรับปรุงเยอะกว่านี้อย่างไอ้โตโยต้ายีซูเขาอยู่มันนาน60 ปีแล้วศูนย์บริการมันทั่วประเทศมันก็เลยแบบคล่องใจคนไทยได้อะไร
ซ่อมก็ซ่อมแค่วันสองวันครับเรียบร้อย
ใช่อย่างรถจีนมันเพิ่งแบบว่าเพิ่งมาทำตลาดอย่างเงี้ยบางทีว่า
A local Chinese dealer in Kuala Lumpur told me that it was not like Chinese. I'm used to it. Neither the local Chinese nor the Malays like to work overtime. Your car broke down on Friday. You can't fix it until people are free on Monday. This is basically a conventional rule. In that case, that in turn requires the car you sell to be more durable. Even if it is broken, it will not affect the driving. Therefore, compared to the Chinese market, overseas consumers' demand for quality and durability is actually higher.
Toyota now has a reputation for calling a car. It has been passed down for 3 generations, and the dead cars are still there.
Ha ha ha. Because Chinese cars are consumers. Buying a car may have happened in the past 10 years. So it's not as long as Malaysians have been using cars. Yes, Malaysia does not have a scrap policy. So you have this saying.
Malaysia, you add a 40-year-old car, no one cares about you.
In fact, I think the after-sales problem and marketing localization, industrial chain layout, even the group strategy and product layout strategy have the opportunity to adjust and make up for it. It can be solved with time, but the only problem is quality. Once it appears on a large scale, it's hard to regain your reputation. And it's not just one brand, it's all Chinese brands. The overseas operation of Chinese automobiles has been vigorous. The current record is also commendable. But if you want to wait until the day when the clouds are truly kept open and the moon is bright, the premise is that the red line of quality must be maintained.